You were betrayed. And since that day, something in your body has changed. It may have been a tremor that did not exist before, a pain in the chest that appears from nowhere, a weight upon the shoulders that no examination can explain. You went to a doctor, had a checkup, and everything appears normal. But you know it is not normal, because since that person did what they did to you, your body began to speak a language you have not yet learned to hear. And what if I tell you that this sign in your body is not a disease, that this mark you carry is in truth the proof that God is acting in your history right now? Stay with me until the end of this video, because what I am going to reveal to you here will completely change the way you view this pain you feel. Before continuing, I need you to understand one thing. This video is not about revenge. It is not about wishing ill upon anyone. It is about you understanding the signs that God Himself places in your body, in your life, and in your emotions to show you that His justice has arrived, and that you were chosen to receive this restoration. Now answer me with sincerity. How many times have you already lost sleep replaying in your mind what they did to you? How many dawns have you stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling that tightness in your chest, asking yourself, why? How many times have you swallowed your tears at work, on the bus, in the middle of a family lunch, because no one would understand the size of the wound you carry inside? If you identified yourself, this video was made for you. And the first thing I'm going to show you is something that most people ignore completely. The human body is a machine of absurd precision. There are more than 37 trillion cells working in synchrony 24 hours a day. Your heart beats about 100,000 times a day without you asking. Your liver filters more than 1 liter of blood per minute. Your brain processes information at a speed that no computer in the world can replicate with the same energy efficiency. All of this happens in silence, behind the scenes, without you needing to think about it. But when a betrayal occurs, this entire system enters a state of alert, and it is not a figure of speech. Neuroscience has already proven this. When you are betrayed, whether by a spouse, a friend, a partner, a family member, your brain activates exactly the same regions that are activated during intense physical pain. The anterior insular and the anterior cingulate cortex, which are areas responsible for processing real pain, light up as if you had taken a blow. In other words, the pain of betrayal is not a frivolity. It is not something in your head. Your body literally feels as if it had been assaulted. And it is here that the first sign God leaves in your body enters. Pay attention. After a profound betrayal, many people begin to feel symptoms they did not have before. Pain in the chest, chronic insomnia, hair loss, sudden loss or gain of weight, constant headaches, digestive problems, anxiety attacks that arise from nowhere. You go to the doctor and he says that everything is fine in the exams, but you continue to feel it. This happens because the body is processing something that the mind has not yet been able to resolve. And from a spiritual point of view, this is a clear sign that your soul is in transition. God is realigning your history. And like every realignment, it generates discomfort before generating a result. Think with me. When a bone breaks and is put in place by the doctor, what happens? It hurts a lot. But it is this pain that indicates the bone is being repositioned to heal correctly. The same happens with your life after a betrayal. The pain you feel is the sign that something is being corrected. Not in the one who betrayed you, in you. And this is the point that most people do not understand. God does not send pain to punish you. He allows the pain to reveal what needs to be healed in you, so that the next phase of your life may be incomparably better than the previous one. I will give you a very practical example. Imagine a woman in her early 40s, a resident of a town in the interior of Minas, married for 15 years, dedicated her life to her husband, to the children, to the house, gave up dreams, career, personal projects. And one fine day she discovers that her husband maintained another life, another person. Lies upon lies. This woman's world collapses. She begins to feel pains in her body she never felt, loses nearly 10 kilos in 2 months, develops a nervous gastritis that prevents her from eating properly. The exams show nothing serious, but she knows she is dying inside. Now pay attention to what happens next. After months of pain, something begins to change. She returns to study, resumes a course she had abandoned, gets a job, begins to recognize herself in the mirror again. The pains diminish, the gastritis improves, sleep returns. Not because the situation was magically resolved, but because she resolved herself with herself. She passed through the fire and emerged whole. Different, yes, but whole. This story is not fiction. This happens every day in this country, in every city, in every neighborhood, in every house where someone is passing through the fire of betrayal. If this is making sense to you, leave an amen here in the comments. And if you know someone who is passing through a similar situation, send this video now to that person. It may be the word they need to hear today. Now I am going to show you the second sign, and this one here is even stronger. After the betrayal, you began to perceive that certain people simply vanished from your life. Friends you thought were for a lifetime stopped calling. People who were always nearby simply disappeared. In the beginning, this hurt. It hurt too much. You felt abandoned, alone, as if the entire world had turned its back. But I need to tell you something that perhaps no one has told you yet. This distancing was not abandonment. It was divine pruning. God removes from your life the people who cannot go with you to the next level. He does this not to hurt you, but to protect you. Because many of those people who left your life after the betrayal were not there out of love. They were there out of interest, out of habit, or out of convenience. The betrayal merely revealed what already existed beneath the surface. And here in Brazil, we have a very strong culture of maintaining appearances. We sit at the Sunday table with people who speak of us behind our backs on Monday. We call friend those who root against us in silence. We keep people close out of politeness, out of fear of being alone, out of family pressure. And God in His wisdom uses the moment of betrayal to clear the ground. I know how this works in practice. Think of that guy who had a group of friends for years. Every weekend they met to watch football, have a barbecue, drink a beer. Then the betrayal happens. He discovers that his partner, who was part of this same group, was embezzling money from the company for years. And when the situation comes to light, what happens? Half of the group stays on the side of the partner, simply because the partner was more fun, more generous at parties, more charismatic. And the man who was robbed, betrayed, wronged, is left practically alone. In the first moment, it is devastating. But after a time, do you know what happens? He perceives that the 2 or 3 who remained are the only people who really matter, that enormous group was, in truth, an illusion of belonging, and that God cut the excess so He could see who in fact was there for him. When you look back and perceive who stayed and who left, you will understand that each departure was a deliverance. Each door that closed was a door that led nowhere. But there exists a third sign which is the most powerful of all, and this one very few people perceive. After the betrayal, at a certain point along the way, you will perceive that something inside you has changed in an irreversible way. It is not that the pain vanished, it is that it transformed into something different, into a silent strength, into a clarity that did not exist before. You begin to see situations with a frightening lucidity. You begin to perceive patterns that before went unnoticed. You begin to identify in seconds when someone is being false with you. This is not paranoia. This is spiritual discernment. When God takes you through the valley of betrayal, He does not return you to the same place from which you left. He returns you at a level above, with a sharper vision, with a more precise intuition, with a spiritual sensitivity that only those who passed through profound pain develop. And this is the clearest physical sign that the justice of God has arrived in your life. You are no longer the same person. Your gaze has changed. Your posture has changed. The way you react to provocations has changed. You no longer need to shout to be heard. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You no longer need to run after those who discarded you. Do you know why? Because those who were marked by God do not need to impose themselves. The present speaks for itself. I will explain this to you in a way that perhaps helps you understand the size of this transformation. Before the betrayal, you were probably a person who gave too much of yourself, who said yes when you wanted to say no, who accepted crumbs thinking it was the most you deserved, who swallowed insults for fear of losing the other, who annulled yourself to maintain peace, who put everyone in front and forgot about yourself. The betrayal broke this pattern. It hurt. it destroyed. But it also showed with brutal clarity that this way of living does not work, that giving yourself without limit to those who do not value you is like watering a plastic plant. It will never bear fruit. And when you understand this truly, something changes in the way you position yourself in the world. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop begging for attention. You stop contenting yourself with little. And this change is not arrogance. It is restored dignity. It is the reflection of a soul that was recalibrated by God Himself. I know that many people who are watching this video now are in the middle of this process. It still hurts. It still bleeds. There are still nights when the crying comes without warning, and that is fine. This does not mean that God forgot you. It means that He is still working, the spiritual surgery is still in progress, and every surgery has a recovery period. If you are in this moment, subscribe here to the channel and activate the bell, because the next videos will help you understand exactly in what phase of this restoration process you are. And what lies ahead is greater than everything that was left behind. Now let us talk about something that almost no one has the courage to say out loud. Betrayal has a side effect that is as real as the pain. Guilt. Not the guilt of the one who betrayed, the guilt of the one who was betrayed. It seems absurd, does it not? But it happens with enormous frequency. The person who was betrayed begins to ask themselves, did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? Could I have avoided it? And this guilt goes on corroding from the inside like rust on scrap iron. In Brazil, this is potentialized by a culture that often blames the victim. Ah, but did you not see the signs? Ah, but you trusted too much. Ah, but you should have been suspicious. As if the guilt of being betrayed belonged to the one who trusted, and not to the one who betrayed the trust. We hear this at work, at the salon, in the conversation circle, in the WhatsApp group. There is always someone with a ready opinion to make you feel even worse than you already feel. I need to liberate you from this now. The guilt is not yours. You did not fail for having trusted. You did not err for having believed. Your good faith is not a weakness. It is a virtue, and God will never punish you for having a clean heart. What happened was that the other person made a choice, a selfish, cowardly, and disloyal choice, and the consequence of this choice will reach that person in God's time, not yours. You do not need to do anything. You do not need to architect revenge. You do not need to wish ill. Because divine justice is precise like a scalpel. It cuts exactly where it needs to cut, at the exact hour in which it needs to cut. And meanwhile, while justice operates behind the scenes, God is rebuilding you, brick by brick, day by day, tear by tear. I want you to stop for a second and think of a wall, an old wall full of cracks with infiltration, mold, the paint peeling. Now imagine that someone arrives and, instead of just putting a new coat of paint over it, tears down the entire wall and builds another from scratch, with new material, with reinforced structure, with impeccable finish. From the outside, it looks like the same wall, but inside, it is completely different. This is what God is doing with you. I want to tell you something that will surprise you. There exists a study published by the University of California that analyzed more than 3,000 people who passed through experiences of severe betrayal. Do you know what the researchers discovered? That more than 70% of these people reported, after a period of recovery, that they felt emotionally stronger than before the betrayal. More than that, they reported that their future relations were significantly healthier, deeper, and more satisfying. In other words, betrayal, when processed, when crossed with consciousness and with faith, does not destroy. It recalibrates. It filters. It eliminates what was false and strengthens what is true. And this is exactly what the Bible describes when it speaks about gold purified by fire. Gold in its raw form is mixed with impurities. To become pure gold, it needs to pass through the fire. The fire does not destroy the gold. The fire destroys what is not gold. You are the gold. The betrayal was the fire. And what is being burned in you is not your essence. It is the illusions, the emotional dependencies, the limiting beliefs, the bonds that tied you to people and situations that did not deserve you. When the fire passes, and it will pass, what will remain is the purest, strongest, and most lucid version of you. and this version will attract things that the previous version could not even imagine. Now think with me on one thing. We here in Brazil have a habit of saying that God writes straight with crooked lines, and it is true. But what most do not stop to think is the following. When you are living inside the crooked lines, you cannot see the drawing. You only see the chaos. You only see the confusion. You only see the pain. But when God finishes the work and you take a step back, the entire drawing appears. And it is perfect. Each curve, each detour, each line that seemed out of place was part of something larger. You are inside the crooked lines now, but the drawing is already being made. Now I want to speak directly to you who are in a very specific moment. You have already passed through the acute phase of the pain. You have already cried what you had to cry. You have already felt anger, sadness, disappointment, revolt, and now you are in a strange place. You are no longer destroyed, but you are also not rebuilt. You are in that middle of the way, in that emotional limbo where you do not know if you advance or if you return. This place has a name. In psychology, they call it the fertile void. In spirituality, they call it the desert. And it is the most important place of the entire process, because it is in the desert that God speaks loudest. It is in the silence that his voice becomes clearer. It is in the solitude that he shows you, without distractions, who you really are and where he is taking you. Do not flee from the desert. Do not try to fill this void with things, with people, with distractions. Do not fall into the temptation of returning to what hurt you just because the desert seems worse than the prison. Many people return to the toxic relationship, return to the false friendship, return to the environment that made them sick, simply because the desert frightens, because the solitude weighs, because the silence bothers. But I tell you, the desert is temporary. The prison is permanent if you return to it. Let the void do its work, because this void is God opening space inside you to fit what he has prepared. And what he has prepared is too large to fit in the old version of you. That is why he needed to empty you first. Let us go to the practical signs. I know you want to know how to recognize in the day-to-day that the justice of God is operating in your life. So here it is. First sign, you begin to have an inexplicable peace. It is not that the problems vanished, it is that they stopped controlling you. You look at the situation and instead of despair, you feel a strange, almost irrational calm. This is God operating in your mind, turning off the false alarms that the betrayal activated. It is as if your nervous system finally received the information that the war is over, that you survived, that you are safe. Second sign, unexpected doors begin to open. A job opportunity that appears from nowhere, an invitation that arrives at the right hour, a new person who enters your life bringing exactly what you needed, money that appears when you thought there was no longer a way out. Coincidence? There is no coincidence in the plan of God. There is providence. He works in the details that we do not even perceive. He moves pieces that we do not even know exist. And when everything fits, it seems like magic. But it is not magic, it is divine engineering. Third sign, you begin to feel compassion for the one who betrayed you. It is not that you forgive and forget. It is not that you accept what was done. It is that you simply stop carrying the weight of that person. You let go, not out of weakness, but out of consciousness that that weight was never yours to carry. You understand that the one who betrayed you is trapped in a version of themselves much more miserable than anything you are living now. And then you feel pity, not out of arrogance, out of lucidity. Fourth sign, your body begins to recover. That insomnia that would not pass begins to give way. That tension in the shoulders begins to loosen. That pain in the stomach that appeared every time you remembered what happened goes on losing strength. The body reflects what happens in the soul, and when the soul begins to heal, the body follows. You return to feeling hunger at the right hour. You return to sleeping the entire night. You return to having energy to get out of bed in the morning without feeling that the world weighs tons. Fifth sign, and pay much attention to this one. The people around you begin to perceive something different in you. Someone comments that you seem more serene. Someone says that your gaze has changed. Someone feels that your presence transmits something it did not transmit before. You did nothing conscious for this to happen, but it happened. Because God does not change only your situation, He changes your frequency. And when your frequency changes, everything around changes with it. The right people approach, the right opportunities appear, the right paths open. Not because you went after them, but because you became the type of person who attracts what is good. If you recognized at least one of these signs in your life, write in the comments which one. I want to know. And I want this comment to serve as a testimony for another person who is passing through the same process. Sometimes what we most need is not advice. It is knowing that we are not alone. Before closing, I need to speak to you about a trap that catches many people exactly at this point of the process. When you begin to improve, when the pain begins to diminish, and life begins to move again, there exists a very strong temptation to look back and check how the person who betrayed you is doing. You enter their social networks. You ask someone in common how they are. You keep monitoring if they are well or ill, if they are suffering the consequences, or if they are living life. And every time it seems they are well, your pain returns with total force. Stop that. I need to be direct. This is poison. Each time you look back, you delay your process. Each time you monitor the life of the one who betrayed you, you hand over the control of your peace to a person who has already proven they do not deserve even your trust, let alone the power over your emotions. The justice of God does not work in your time. It works in His time. And many times what seems like prosperity in the life of the one who betrayed you is only a facade. Behind that smile in the photo, that posted trip, that appearance that everything is fine, there exists a void that no material conquest fills, because the one who betrays does not betray only the other. They betray themselves, and that is a bill that is paid inside, in the silence, where no one sees. So take your eye off there. Look forward. Your path is forward. What God prepared for you is in the opposite direction of where the person who betrayed you is. To close, I want to leave you with a truth that I need you to engrave in your heart. Betrayal is not the end of your story. It is the end of a chapter. And chapters end so that new ones may begin. What comes after the betrayal, when you surrender yourself to the process of God, is absurdly greater than what came before. You will look back a year from now, 2 years, 5 years, and you will understand each tear. You will understand each night awake. You will understand each moment of solitude. Because all of this was preparing you for something that, in that moment of pain, you did not have the capacity to see. God does not waste pain. Each drop of suffering that you felt is being converted into wisdom, into strength, into purpose. You were not destroyed by the betrayal. You were reformatted, updated, reconfigured for a version of life that the person who betrayed you will never have access to. And this is the most beautiful justice that exists. While the one who betrayed you lost someone loyal, faithful, and of a true heart, you lost someone who did not deserve you. The one who came out losing truly in this story was not you. I will repeat, because I need this to enter your soul. The one who came out losing was not you. You are here. You are standing. You are watching this video. You are seeking to understand. You are wanting to improve. You are willing to pass through the process. This already places you at a level that most people never reach, because most give up in the middle of the way. Most surrender to bitterness. Most let the betrayal define who they are for the rest of their lives. But not you. You are here. And this, by itself, is already proof that God has marked you. Now do me a favor. If this video touched your heart, if any word you heard here made sense in your life, click the like button. This simple gesture helps this video reach more people who need this message. Share it with someone who is passing through a difficult phase, and subscribe to the channel if you are not yet subscribed, because every week I bring content like this to help you see the hand of God in your journey. You were chosen. You were marked. And the justice of God in your life is not a possibility, it is a certainty. Until the next video, God bless you.